Hey, Kate, what did you eat last night?
I had homemade mushu pork, and we made the pancakes. We actually made the mushu pancakes. Yes.
Who makes the pancakes?
I know. The recipe was from, I always get it wrong, Cook's Kitchen or Cook's Country. I can't remember. But they do really good scientific research into their recipes to figure out what's going to make them work. And sure enough, we followed the recipe to a T, and you roll them out. It's a particular type of batter. You stick them together, and then you peel them apart after you've cooked them. And it was amazing. They were such good mushu pancakes. They had that sort of stretchy quality that good mushu pancakes have. They didn't taste like much, but they're not supposed to. The filling was delicious. It was amazing, and we were so proud of ourselves.
I'm super proud of you.
Yeah, it was really great.
Tons of people make the vegetables, but I never hear of anyone making the pancakes.
I know, and it really wasn't that hard. Yeah,
nice.
As long as you know how. How about you? What did you have?
Oh, I went to one of my favorite restaurants in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and I got an appetizer of some jalapeno deviled eggs, which were really, really good.
Yum.
They basically cut up little jalapenos and mixed them into the yolk and then restuffed them into everything. It was so tasty.
Yum.
And that was followed by an open-faced a sandwich I had, which was on brioche bread. And then on top of the brioche, there was a little bit of sort of tomato puree. And then on top of that puree was a little bit of lobster. And then a little bit of pear. And then it was all covered with a big old chunk of brie cheese.
Lobster and brie?
Yes, I know.
Because classically, one is taught that seafood and cheese don't go together, except in certain combinations. I'm surprised.
Yes, but I think a lot of times on the Eastern Shore, you will find plenty of seafood covered in cheese. As I've had many crabby, cheesy fries. Okay. Another thing you often get there.
Well, that's true. And you do get lobster mac and cheese. I see that a lot on menus. Yeah. So obviously it is good. Wow. Was it tasty? It sounds delicious.
It really was. And it was such the perfect portion. I don't know. That combination of the pear with the cheese and the lobster, it just was like, whoa. Because I wasn't sure what to make of the pear when I saw it. But I'm like, all right. But it was really tasty.
Huh.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Right.
Hello and welcome to another episode of You Won't Believe What I Ate Last Night. I am Kate DeVore.
And I am Rick Fiore.
And this is our ongoing conversation about food, health, weight management, and our endeavor to be and stay healthy in a really tasty world.
With love, kindness, and compassion towards ourselves and others.
Today, we're so excited to interview Penny Liley, who is talking to us, first of all, from a barge in France, which I find amazing enough. And she is a trained cook with a very interesting background who now runs a hotel barge from Burgundy, France, called the Barge Luciole. So she is going to talk to us about recipe creation, particularly using local whole foods, and also a little bit about the differences between European and American eating habits, which she's had the opportunity to observe firsthand. So Penny, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, Kate and Rick, and your listeners. I feel very privileged to be talking to you this evening.
Thank you. So our first question is, what did you eat last night?
I'm slightly embarrassed to admit this.
That's our favorite.
Is it? Well, had I thought about this a little bit more, I probably would have swapped the salmon and the steak around from the nights before, because actually I'm admitting that I ate
Fair enough.
horrid chicken tortilla wraps with an avocado salad, creme fraiche inside. But as I was eating that with my son Arthur and Amelia, his girlfriend, we said, gee, this tastes so good, you'd be happy if it was served in a restaurant. Yes, I made them for them, and we ate probably too many.
Nice.
Sounds lovely. So tell us about your fascinating work.
Well, I feel very privileged. I trained as a cook, and my qualification was a passport that allowed me to travel to different places around Europe and in England, and through various jobs, cooking for the Grand Prix in Europe, houses in France, castles, all sorts of places. I ended up cooking on a hotel barge in France, the Luciole, and I'm in the privileged position after 30 years to have demoted myself from cook to admin.
Nice. So now you just oversee everything.
I try to, but no, actually, they all look after me and I cause havoc.
Perfect. Didn't you cook? I should have relooked at this. Didn't you cook for Eton or some fancy pants school in England? Weren't you doing something there?
I did. I was cooking in Switzerland at the time, and my mother phoned me up. She was very excited, and she said, Penny, Eton wants to interview. I said, I can't. I'm in Switzerland. She said, no, it's all right. Your plane gets in tomorrow at lunchtime, and they're interviewing you at 4:00. I said, really? So that's exactly what happened. And I was given the job at 6:00. And that was, yes, I was catapulted. That was my first proper cooking job.
Oh, my gosh.
I was cooking for schoolmasters. They were all single in the house. We all lived together in a house.
Wow.
And they were very well behaved and very nice.
That's nice to hear.
So our primary topic is recipe creation. Could you start by telling us what are the elements one should consider in creating a recipe?
My advice to anyone would be start simple, understand your ingredients, know what the tastes are. I think a very basic error of people wanting to create their own recipes and wanting to do something different is they think, gosh, I've got all these ingredients I can combine.
That's me.
There you go. Start simple, cook simple. And I think that is the way to build up to great results. We all know the classics that there are. We all know that tomato and mozzarella. We know that basil and tomato. We know that chicken and tarragon, fish and lemon. Cooking is about having a passion and following that passion and being brave. You know, you have to be a little bit brave and try things and look at recipes, find a recipe that you like, and then gradually build it up, you know. Rick, I'm sure you've got it in you to create great food.
Well, something you just triggered in me is this idea. I thought, when you think about classic ingredients, my mind went to what are the ingredients that you like and start from there and build up from there, because I often get overwhelmed about what ingredients do go well together. So a lot of times I'll start with like mushrooms, which I love, and I'll start there and then add in a little. I try not to build it too much because I feel like, what's the simplest things I can add in? So I sort of like that idea. I
agree. If you love a vegetable. So one of my favorite things I've just been doing recently is a mushroom risotto. So you buy the albino rice and you cook that, some onions at the bottom of the pan, brown those off slightly, add in the rice, add in the liquor, splash of white wine. And then you cook lots of mushrooms, slice up finely, cook in butter. I'm a great believer in cooking in butter.
Thank you.
Oh, good. There we go. Love butter. And you just add all these lovely mushrooms to your risotto, salt and pepper, Parmesan cheese if you want. And you've got a wonderful, wonderful dish. And what's more, it's just as good the next day. And that's I think if you're cooking for two or one in particular, you know, make food that lasts more than just one day, because it's a stress sometimes. It's a stress to cook. So if you make something that lasts for 2 days, when you open the fridge the next day, you think, oh, gee, thank goodness I did that.
Totally. We talk about that on here. Cook once, eat twice. Yeah, exactly.
Preferably not twice in one night, of course. You do actually eat it the next day.
That's where we've been going wrong, Rick. We misinterpreted that. Are there any other pairings that jump to mind? Like you mentioned chicken and tarragon, which I think is one that people don't necessarily think of. We don't use tarragon very much over here.
Don't you?
No.
Oh, that's a very, very old classic.
It shows up in béarnaise and that's about it. So like, are there other things like that, pairings, things that love each other, foods that go well together that spring to mind? Something that goes well with beef, for example, something that goes well with salmon.
Well, we all know, of course, the beef and mustard.
No, see, we don't all know that necessarily. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! In England, everybody would ask for mustard with their beef or horseradish.
Mm-hmm.
I use Dijon mustard all the time. There's a fabulous make called Mailly, Mailly, very distinct jar for that, and that's a mustard that has vinegar incorporated into it, so it makes it a much smoother, less hot mustard. So, gosh, yes, a beef sandwich with a swipe of mustard across the bread first. I mean, it's just you can't beat it. Really.
Would you guys eat mustard with a steak?
Oh yes.
See, we would never in a million years eat mustard with a steak here.
With a steak,
Either nothing or some kind of steak sauce or a pan sauce. People would make a pan sauce, I think, is what I would do, a butter-based shallot, sort of just very simple pan sauce. But we would never have mustard with a steak. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, well, we go for the sauce, the pan sauce and the mustard.
It's wise, yes. And horseradish sauce a little bit more. Like people will do a horseradish cream sort of with a pot roast or something. Yeah. Yes, we love that. And of course, strangely, I can never quite understand, but horseradish is renowned for going with mackerel as well. So,
and it does. If you're making a smoked mackerel pate, chuck in a dollop of horseradish and it brings out the mackerel. So
it's interesting.
That's pairing. Fish, lemon, parsley, chervil. Chervil are lovely with fish. Very, very simple sauce vierge that we do on the Luciole. A very simple olive oil and fresh herbs. But it's all about using pairings. You've got a vehicle, knowing you've got a vehicle, and then you're adding to that vehicle you've got, so you can't overkill.
Oh, I like that idea. Adding to a vehicle. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you're on a motorbike with a bi-rider. Is it a bi-rider?
Sidecar. We call it a sidecar here. Yeah. That's a great way to put it. Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to help when you're in the sidecar because you might tip the bike over, right? So you don't want to over. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And how do you source local ingredients, and why does that matter?
I think seasonal vegetables and fruits are becoming far less defined. In the old days, the older generation, our generation, we knew when it was strawberry time. That first bite of the strawberry, we all knew, you have the strawberry, you hull it. And if you've got some sugar there, you dip it into the sugar and you eat it. And there is that explosion of fresh strawberries, local strawberries, even better. Nowadays, do you want strawberries for Christmas?
Yeah.
In the Northern Hemisphere? Well, you have strawberries for Christmas.
Yes, but they taste of nothing.
They're totally different. They've been flown in. They've been flown in from Kenya. A lot of our strawberries come from Kenya now, from the southern hemisphere to the northern. An awful lot of our imported vegetables are now from Kenya.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Raspberries, all these different vegetables. Brussels sprouts. Some love them, some hate them. But that first Brussels sprout of the new season. Again, I think, funnily enough, Brussels sprouts you're less likely to have them in the summer. But nowadays you go to your supermarkets and even almost your farmers markets, you might find out of season vegetables, which I think is very, very, very sad. We're losing the definition between the seasons. So farmers markets are wonderful, obviously, if you can find organic, if you can afford organic, because there is that extra cost attached. But the choice of our supermarkets, your supermarkets, it's extensive now. It's extensive. In the old days when I was cooking on the Luciole, you'd go into the French supermarket 30 years ago, and they would have basic ingredients that they wouldn't have, let alone imported. There weren't any imported. To find fresh herbs, you wouldn't. I grew my fresh herbs on the boat.
Wow.
Right.
So I was lucky. I mean, now now we not to boat grow fresh herbs, but in the old days, that's how I did it. And
you were an herb pioneer, I suspect.
Possibly, yeah, possibly.
Do you feel that fresh ingredients in a dish will affect other ingredients? Like if you add fresh vegetables to like a meat or a fish, do you think it affects them in a way that maybe non-seasonal or non-fresh ingredients would?
I think Cordon Bleu, which was my training, is all about using the best ingredient to their best advantage. It doesn't matter whether it's the humble carrot or the leek or, the asparagus. So if you can buy your vegetables or dig them up from the garden, we all know the fresher they are, the better they taste. Mm-hmm. So buy as fresh as you can, buy as fresh as you can.
So Penny, how do you stay healthy in a tasty world?
I think staying healthy these days is knowing about your body and respecting your body. I feel I could do better and I could be kinder to myself because I skip a lot of meals because I end up thinking that there are more important things to do. Mm-hmm. So I should do better with that. I try to eat healthily. I don't think I'm too bad. I try and eat simply. And again, it's back to creating simple food. I do use butter. I do use olive oil, and I don't limit those. I do have a theory that for so many people, we've moved on to fat-free diets, but I've a funny feeling, or that is good for us. I have a funny feeling in years to come, they're going to be saying, hey, gee, sorry, folks, we got that wrong. It's limiting the amount you're eating of fats and eating the good fats. If you have chips every day or fry-ups every day, no, that's not good. But I think if you have butter and oil in good amounts and cream if you want it, I think that's fine. Fruit and vegetables are obviously very, very important. Some people become vegetarians, and if they feel their body is suited to that, well, that's their choice. Everybody has a choice, but I think it's all about having a little bit of something, understanding your body, and possibly having a smaller plate size than one might want.
Oh, Penny. Now you had to go bring out that comment, didn't you?
I'm sorry about that. I did think about that one, but I think that might be a bit of a key. I think sizes have got bigger and bigger. Food looks good on plates. And so obviously in the very, very nice restaurants, they put small portions on big plates.
Totally.
And then if you go to a different restaurant, you might not have that. You just might have more food on a big plate. And then if it's good and delicious, well, one will just work one's way through it. So I think that's a good idea, to just try and reduce one's intake down to what you feel comfortable with.
When you think about staying healthy in a tasty world, how do you do that with love, kindness, compassion towards yourself and others? Well,
I treat myself. I love avocados. I love fish and chicken. And I love salad, rocket.
Which is arugula in the States.
Arugula.
We call rocket arugula here, yep.
Interesting. I mean, it's so easy, isn't it? It's so
delightful.
Easy to use. As a garnish, throw it into leeks, peas, it just adds that thing.
Well, that's a good idea. That would never occur to me. And in fact, I tend to buy a giant thing of arugula that I'm desperate to use up. And there's only so much salad one can eat in a week, you know? And so that's a good idea. So throw it into leeks? Just what do you mean?
Oh, I love it. I love it with leeks. If you cut leeks into 3-inch sections, cut them in half, slice them up finely as a sort of julienne.
Yeah.
That strips of leeks, so you cut down the lengthways, like down the trunk, and just fry them up with a bit of butter. Lovely with a little orange zest in, and just before serving, you toss in the rocket, and it brings that vibrant of colour to the leeks. And gosh, one can eat plates of it, you know.
Oh my God.
That sounds really good.
Can we talk about zest for a moment? So I see the chefs on the TV always putting zest on things, and I don't tend to do it. It scares me. I don't exactly know what it's going to do or when I should or shouldn't use it. Can you talk just a bit about zest?
Well, you certainly shouldn't be scared of zest because it has its own function, as does lemon juice. Lemon juice has more acidity in it. Mm-hmm. Lemon zest is a much calmer zing to it. So, because it has oils in. The zest of lemon has the oils.
So it's subtler than the juice, is what you're saying.
Much more subtle.
That
much more.
Is counterintuitive to me. I think that's why I'm frightened of it, is it feels like it would be more assertive, and it isn't, huh?
Yes, no. I mean, we all know when you're removing the zest off of lemon, orange, grapefruit, whatever, it's imperative not to remove it too far, because then you get into the white pith, and that is bitter. But the colour of the orange and lemon, the real zest, no, that's not. That's full of the oils. So it gives a very, very smooth flavour.
For someone like me, who's a novice at, I'd say creating recipes and cooking tricky things, what's your advice on salt? Like, how do I know when I've added enough salt to bring the flavor out of the food? Like, that's something I struggle with. Any way you would tell someone that?
I believe we all need salt. We all need a certain amount of salt.
Preach.
In our diets. Yep. And I think if you are in control of the amount of salt you add, that's super. You shouldn't be scared of using salt. I have a salt grinder, so I would put 2 twists of the grinder into a dish, taste it, and it's true, salt brings out flavour. So add it in, stir it in, see if you like the taste. If you think you've got a nice taste, don't add any more. If you think, something's missing, there's a bit of a kick missing, add an extra twist. I mean, the key to it is, if you're very thirsty after your meal, you've added if you're needing to go for the water or something stronger because you're feeling thirsty, you've added too much. But you just learn, that's the fun thing about cooking and being kind to yourself with cooking. It's a learning process. You're always learning. So, you add less next time. And I'm a great believer. I've always written in my cookery books. I've always written notes. I've written the dates where I was when I did the first recipe. Because, so many times you think, gosh, right, well, I will remember to do that next time.
I know, it's dreadful.
So easy to do. And you then think, well, if only I'd remembered that it wasn't gas 5 or whatever, 200, or it was only half an egg white I needed to add. It would make such a difference because we're all busy. So, yes, I'm a great believer in writing, and it shows you, you look back, and a cookery book is a memory. It's a memory bank. So write your notes, who you perhaps cooked for, and it's a good diary.
Oh,
I like that
that's
idea
sweet.
Because I don't often think about, I definitely don't make notes as I go. That I do not do. So that's actually really good advice. And because I somehow think I'll figure it out or I'll remember it the next time. And also, I love the idea. You just reminded me of how important it is, because I actually don't practice a lot of kindness with myself when it comes to cooking. I somehow think when I try something new, particularly if I'm altering a recipe or I'm creating a recipe, that I should have done it better. I should have done it right. I'm always beating myself up about it. So to remember that it is something that you keep coming back to and you change the recipe next time and you fix the recipe next time, that's actually really great for me.
I think that's the joy of it. You can, it's something you can always do better the next time. So I just say, Rick, that if you start with a piece of chicken and you cut the chicken into chunks and you throw it into some butter, touch of oil so you can then get a higher temperature, you can brown it off. You have twist of salt and pepper, you have delicious tasting chicken. That is so simple. So then you might have cooked some potatoes. You've got the leek dish we've talked about. You just pile it into a bowl. You've got something delicious. I mean, I also love something we have in France and England called crème fraîche. Do you know?
Yeah, we have it. We have it here.
That's a stock fridge item for me. I use that. I either use it to add it to sauces, or if you've cooked something very simple, you've cooked your potatoes, your vegetables, you put the chicken on top, you've thrown a load of, what's your word for rocket again?
Arugula.
Arugula. You've thrown a handful of arugula on the top and you've got a dollop of creme fraiche as well, squeeze of lemon. You've got the most perfect supper dish, and it's simple, and that is being kind to yourself.
I'm literally salivating.
You could do that with salmon, just as easily with salmon.
So you've got a protein very simply cooked. You've got some kind of delicious starchy thing that you like, in this case potato, but it could just as easily have been something else, right? And then a green, and then some lemon to do what? To brighten it? Does it do anything else, the lemon?
Well, the lemon, is an acid, so it brings out the flavour. It just adds that piquant. A little vinegar does the same. There are many, many vinegars that we've got used to hearing about balsamic vinegar now. I mean, probably 10 years ago, people didn't know balsamic vinegar to use regularly. Now, certainly in England and France, it's a larder cupboard item.
Oh, here too.
Yes, exactly. I mean, and a lot of these vinegars now have tops where you can just liberally just go fumph, fumph, and it just brings out the taste. Balsamic vinegar and salmon actually is a very slightly not a combination that you would consider, but something that I use quite successfully actually. But I think, Rick, there you go. Cook simply.
I think I'm getting food. Right, I actually get that. I get that. What's the best piece of advice you have ever gotten about food and wellness?
Cooking is all about enjoyment, liking what you're eating. If you like what you're eating, you're going to feel happy. You're going to feel pleased with yourself. And that, I think, brings a sense of well-being, whether you're cooking for yourself, your loved ones, strangers, or whatever. If you're pleased with what you've done, that brings an enormous sense of well-being.
That's lovely. Thank you. That's
yes, great. It is. Have you noticed the portion size is growing because of American tourism? I swear that I've noticed that over the years when I go to Europe, that what used to be daintier portions now seem to be influenced by American tourists, and they're getting bigger. Am I making that up? Have you noticed that?
No, I would say that was definitely correct, Kate. Yes, definitely. In England. Yes, the portion size have gone up, and people seem to assimilate the fact that if you pay for something, you should have a lot. Actually, it should all be about quality rather than quantity.
Definitely in America, there's this sense that you've got to get your money's worth, and size definitely helps people feel like they're getting their money's worth. Right.
They're like, it was $20 and it was 1 carrot put on a plate with a piece of with tweezers. Yeah. Arranged. That's right. That's right.
So, Penny, when you go to the grocery store, what are the 5 items that are always on your list and why?
My 5 choices would be ingredients that we've been talking about already. I would definitely want creme fraiche. Just so useful. Because of the slight acidity to creme fraiche, you can throw it into a sauce, you change it. It works brilliantly with anything, with chicken, fish, anything you can just throw in. Always I buy 100% full fat creme fraiche, because anything less than that, if you heat it, you will curdle your sauce, which spells disaster, darling.
Yes.
Always buy the full fat. You can also then use it as a jollop or a dollop onto your pasta. You know, you can just imagine this white, creamy loveliness on your tomato sauce with your pasta. And then your sprinkle of my next ingredient I always buy, which is, Kate, take it away, rocket.
Arugula.
I always buy arugula. So it's great for putting onto anything, or, as we've said, throwing into a vegetable. So we've got creme fraiche, arugula, lemons. I always have a lemon, use it for the juice or the zest. Butter. Always have butter. I'm always cooking with butter or using it on toast. I don't believe, they've tried so long to kid us that margarine is a good idea. How on earth?
Terrible.
No, I think we're over that in this country. I think most of us know that at this point, that's not good.
So butter and then olive oil. I would always... when you heat olive oil to a high temperature, you lose the taste of olives. So you no longer have that. If you want the taste of olives into a dish, well, then just slosh a little olive oil over the dish at the end, over your new potatoes. You might have thrown in some mint as the new potatoes, a twist of salt and pepper. But just a slosh of olive oil to glaze and add that Mediterranean taste that just brings a whole extra dimension.
Well, Penny, we cannot thank you enough for joining us and lending your expertise and your lovely soul and spirit and love of food and good cooking and taking care of ourselves through good cooking.
Yeah, thank you so much. So be sure to check out our website, youwon'tbelievewhatIate.com. Also remember, if you want to tell us what you ate last night, and also if you have any questions or ideas for topics, let us know. You can do an audio recording on your phone and send it right into our email at youwon'tbelievewhatIate@gmail.com.
And we will play it on our podcast. Also, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at You Won't Believe What I Ate. And we can find Penny if you guys want to go on the most amazing vacation or just drool over the website. You can visit. Penny, what is the website for the Barge Luciole?
You're very kind, thank you. It's bargeluciole.com.
And we will have that information on our website as well. You can link to it. And we hope that we'll see you guys there one day because we would love to go.
We desperately want to go, Penny.
See you here.